There's a silent culprit, making no noise, causing no immediate pain, yet it nibbles away at health day by day. What surprised me is, it comes from the very fruits I've believed to be good my whole life. Perhaps your grandparents are also eating them every day, with a sincere heart believing that eating fruit is good for health. But have your grandparents ever wondered, is every type of fruit suitable for people aged 60 and over? We need a different perspective, gently, not to fear but to understand. To be selective. To protect ourselves from silent harm. Let me tell you, grandparents, there are 7 common fruits that, if eaten regularly, could be the reason why our legs feel weaker, our joints swell up, or our arthritis flare-ups become more severe. This is because they contain high levels of acid, natural sugar, or certain substances that affect the liver, kidneys, and joints. And especially, the ability to metabolize sugar at this age is no longer what it used to be. First, let's talk about pineapple, a fruit that many older adults love. Actually, I completely understand why. Pineapple is cool, fragrant, with a sweet and sour taste that's just right, and eating it helps with digestion. Many of the elderly people I've met during my over 20 years working in elderly healthcare have also told me, pineapple is both delicious and helps reduce inflammation, doctor. And it's true that pineapple contains a special enzyme called bromelain, known for its ability to aid digestion and naturally reduce inflammation. However, what few people pay attention to, and what I want to emphasize today, is the silent downside of this fruit, especially for those over 60. While pineapple is rich in bromelain, it also contains a lot of acid and natural sugar. For young people whose digestive systems are still strong, with good metabolism, the body can easily balance these substances. But when we reach 60, every organ in the body, from the stomach, liver, kidneys to the joints, no longer runs smoothly as before. They become more sensitive, more vulnerable. I once met a 67-year-old gentleman with a trim figure who lived very healthily, morning walks, vegetable soup for lunch, herbal tea in the evening. But he complained to me that his legs often felt tired, walking felt heavy, especially after eating pineapple. At first, he thought it was just a coincidence, but when I helped him track his diet for 2 weeks, we realized that every time he ate pineapple, even just a few slices, the next day his knees would swell up, and his ankles would ache dully. Why is this the case? Pineapple is highly acidic, and when this acid enters the bloodstream, it irritates the joint tissues, especially in areas that already have signs of mild inflammation that we are unaware of, like the knees, ankles, or hips. In addition, although the natural sugar in pineapple isn't processed sugar, it can still rapidly increase blood sugar levels, especially when eaten on an empty stomach or when eating too much at once. In older adults, insulin, the gatekeeper of blood sugar levels, works more slowly, causing blood sugar to fluctuate sharply, leading to underlying inflammation in the body. And it is this underlying inflammation that causes many people to suddenly feel their legs weaken, walk slowly, and feel pain or fatigue when standing up, without realizing it's due to a few slices of pineapple each day. The difficulty lies in the fact that pineapple causes its effects very silently. Nothing dramatic happens immediately after eating it, but little by little each day, a few times a week, the joints are constantly irritated, gradually weakening the musculoskeletal system over time. I'm not saying that older adults should absolutely not eat pineapple, but like everything else, what's important is to eat it correctly, in the right amount, and at the right time. If there's a history of arthritis, diabetes, or simply frequent ankle swelling or knee pain, then pineapple should be minimized. And if you do eat it after a main meal, along with foods rich in good fats or protein to slow down sugar absorption. In particular, never eat pineapple on an empty stomach, because at that time, the acid will attack the stomach lining and joints much more strongly. I still remember once a lady in Oregon told me during a nutritional consultation, "Doctor, I thought I ate very healthily, all fruits and vegetables, so why are my legs getting weaker and my joints hurting more and more?" When we reviewed her food diary, it turned out she ate pineapple every day, sometimes up to half a large one. She thought she was doing something good, but in reality, she was unknowingly accumulating inflammatory substances. So if any of you are experiencing a similar situation, your legs are gradually weakening, your joints feel more tired, especially after eating things you thought were good for your health, then try stopping pineapple for a while. Observe if your body changes. Sometimes, after just 1 week, your knees will feel lighter, your ankles less swollen, and your night's sleep will be more peaceful. Small changes, such as reducing a type of fruit that your body is no longer suitable for, can sometimes create a big change for our overall health. So, if we've always thought that eating fruit is always good, then sometimes it's the aging body itself that rings the bell, reminding us that everything needs understanding and appropriate adjustment. And it's not just pineapple. Another fruit that's just as common, almost always present in every older adult's kitchen, bananas, is also a friend that needs to be viewed with caution. Sounds a bit surprising, doesn't it? Bananas not good? I understand that because many grandparents have also asked me with surprised looks. Bananas aren't good, doctor. I eat one every morning to stave off hunger and get potassium. That's what everyone says. Yes, bananas are very rich in potassium, a mineral essential for cardiovascular function, helping to balance blood pressure and reduce the risk of stroke. However, for older adults, especially those with high blood pressure, diabetes, cardiovascular issues, or frequent swelling, bananas are not always the ideal choice. The reason is that bananas contain quite a bit of natural sugar, mainly glucose, fructose, and sucrose, along with fast-digesting carbohydrates. When you eat a banana, blood sugar levels rise very quickly, but then drop just as rapidly. This fluctuation in blood sugar makes the body feel tired, easily dizzy, and unable to concentrate, even causing tremors in some people. I once monitored a 72-year-old gentleman in Florida who loved gentle exercise, especially golf. He ate a banana before going to the course every morning, but then he noticed that just 30 to 40 minutes after eating it, he would start to feel dizzy, his heart would race, and his legs would feel weak. At first, he thought it was due to age, but when we tried replacing the banana with a light snack of nuts, oatmeal cookies, and a few slices of apple, this condition completely disappeared. It doesn't stop there. For people who already have heart or kidney problems, the excessively high potassium levels from eating many bananas can increase the burden on the heart, causing chest tightness, shortness of breath, or irregular heartbeat. In addition, bananas also have water-retentive properties, so eating them regularly, especially in the evening, can cause mild swelling in the legs and ankles the next morning, because the body doesn't eliminate all the excess water and potassium while sleeping. I remember a 68-year-old lady named Margie, living in California, who once told me, "I eat bananas to avoid cramps, but lately my legs feel tight and my ankles are slightly swollen." Could it really be because of bananas? That's exactly it. Bananas aren't harmful to everyone, but at this age, the body is more sensitive to substances that weren't a problem before. Bananas, when eaten uncontrollably, for example, eating them on an empty stomach, eating 2 or 3 at once, or eating them every day, can cause silent negative effects. So, if you enjoy bananas, you don't need to eliminate them completely. What I recommend is, only eat bananas after a main meal or combine them with foods rich in fiber or good fats to slow down sugar absorption. Do not eat bananas before bed, as they can cause water retention and increase heart rate while sleeping. If you have a history of cardiovascular issues, leg swelling, or weak kidneys, consult your doctor before eating bananas regularly. In fact, every type of fruit has 2 sides, and the most important thing is not whether a type is good or bad, but whether our own body is still suitable for it. And at this point, I think we've started to have a different perspective on eating fruit in old age, haven't we? So let's move on to the next fruit, grapes, a sweet, tiny fruit, easy to eat, and often considered an anti-aging miracle. But is it really harmless to older adults? Let's find out right after this. The aging body is like an antique clock. Every gear, every movement needs careful attention, because just one small detail out of place is enough to cause the whole system to malfunction. So, having understood that even a simple banana can throw off our energy balance, I believe you won't be surprised to learn that grapes, a fruit seemingly the most benign, can actually cause unexpected consequences if not consumed correctly. Grapes, tiny, juicy, and sweet, have long been a favorite snack for many older adults. Some have even told me, "Doctor, I don't eat anything sweet except grapes, and I find them light on the stomach and very good for digestion." I smile because I understand that, but then I gently explain, behind the mild sweetness of grapes lies a special type of sugar called fructose. Fructose is a natural sugar found in most fruits, but grapes are one of the fruits with the highest content. And this is the crucial point. Fructose is not metabolized like regular glucose. Instead of entering the bloodstream and being used by cells for energy, fructose must go through the liver for processing. If you eat a small amount, the liver will convert it into glycogen, a form of stored energy. But if you eat a lot, or eat it continuously, the liver won't be able to process it in time. And then, the excess fructose will be converted into fat, accumulating around the liver, causing fatty liver disease, and another part will be converted into uric acid, the substance that causes gout. You've probably heard of gout, a disease where just one flare-up can make your big toe red, hot, and excruciatingly painful, so much so that even the light touch of a blanket hurts. But few people know that a bunch of grapes a day, seemingly harmless, can be the silent culprit contributing to those painful episodes. I once monitored an elderly gentleman in New York. He ate very healthily, no red meat, no seafood, but he had a habit of eating grapes every evening while watching the news. Each time he ate half a bunch, sometimes a whole small bunch. After a few months, he experienced persistent joint pain in his knees and big toes, initially thinking it was due to age, but after testing, his uric acid levels were abnormally high. When he temporarily stopped eating grapes for 2 weeks, a miracle happened. His joint pain subsided significantly, his ankles were no longer swollen every morning, and he slept better. The problem isn't with the grapes themselves, but with how easily we can eat a lot without realizing it. Because grapes are small, sweet, and refreshing, so each time we eat, we don't count each one like we do with apples or oranges. We just pick one, then another, and before we know it, we've eaten 20 to 30 grapes, equivalent to nearly 15-20 g of fructose. A significant number for a body that no longer has the flexible metabolic capacity it once did. In addition, the high sugar content in grapes also causes blood sugar fluctuations, leading to fatigue and weakness in the limbs after eating, especially for those taking diabetes medication. And because fructose doesn't stimulate insulin secretion like glucose, we also don't feel full or satisfied, making us eat even more without knowing when to stop. So if you enjoy grapes, I don't recommend giving them up completely, but please eat them consciously and with control. Do not eat grapes on an empty stomach. Do not eat them in the evening, because the liver works more slowly at that time. You should eat no more than 10 to 12 grapes at a time, preferably combined with a protein-rich snack like yogurt or a few almonds. When we clearly understand what our body needs, and doesn't need, we will know how to take care of ourselves intelligently and gently. As I often tell my patients, eating is not just about nourishing the body, it's also a way for us to nurture a peaceful old age. I remember once, during a small chat with the elderly at the weekend wellness club, a sweet old lady smiled kindly and said, "Doctor, I know I shouldn't eat too many grapes anymore. But what about watermelon? Watermelon is sweet, cool, and seems harmless, doesn't it?" I looked at her. Her smile was very gentle, but her hand was lightly rubbing her noticeably swollen ankle. And I gently shared something that not everyone knows, even if they've eaten watermelon their whole lives. Watermelon, it's the surprise culprit in the list of fruits that seem healthy but are actually risky for older adults. You see, watermelon is loved for its mild sweetness and coolness, especially on hot summer days. It helps cool down, quench thirst, and is even said to have a diuretic effect. But if we look closer, watermelon has one of the highest glycemic index, GI, values among common fruits. The glycemic index, or GI, reflects how quickly a food raises blood sugar levels after consumption. In healthy young people, the body quickly produces insulin to move this sugar into cells and maintain balance. But in older adults, the insulin response is weakened, the pancreas works more slowly, and cells are no longer as sensitive to insulin signals as before. The result is, blood sugar rises rapidly after eating watermelon, then drops suddenly. This not only causes feelings of fatigue, tremors, dizziness, but also leaves a more insidious consequence: mild chronic inflammation in areas like the knees, ankles, and calves, the places where older adults often complain of pain, swelling, and heaviness whenever the weather changes. But no, I assure you, often it's not the weather but what we eat. Watermelon, with its high natural sugar content and rapid absorption, not only causes blood sugar fluctuations, but also triggers an inflammatory response in the blood vessel lining. This is especially true for the small blood vessels in the legs, where blood circulation has already slowed down with age. When these vessels are irritated, older adults will feel heavy legs, tight calves, and sometimes even burning or tired feet as if carrying stones. I have encountered many cases of elderly patients with mild diabetes who don't take medication but only eat moderately, yet every summer, after eating a few slices of watermelon each afternoon, their blood sugar would spike, leaving them exhausted and their legs aching for no apparent reason. Some even thought they had severe varicose veins, but when they stopped eating watermelon for a month, all the symptoms disappeared. Another point that makes watermelon dangerous is how we eat it. Because it's soft, juicy, and easy to swallow, we often eat a lot without noticing. One slice, then two, then half a melon. No one thinks that with just 300 grams of watermelon, equivalent to a few slices, we've already consumed nearly 25 to 30 grams of sugar. For a body over 65, this amount of sugar is enough to cause instability for several hours afterward. If you still love watermelon, I completely understand. But I want to advise, eat it after a main meal, not on an empty stomach. Do not eat more than 150 g at a time, and absolutely not in the evening. You can eat it with walnuts, almonds, or unsweetened yogurt to slow down the sugar absorption process. As I often say, old age doesn't mean we have to abstain from everything, but it means knowing how to choose selectively, control portions, and listen to the feedback from our own bodies. I know that after hearing me talk about watermelon, many of you might feel a bit surprised. Why would the fruits we've loved and been familiar with our whole lives cause such fatigue and swelling pain? But I want to add this. Fruits are not bad, it's just that at this age, our bodies have changed, and the way they react to food is no longer the same as it was in our 30s or 40s. And another prime example is oranges. Oranges, for a long time, have always been seen as a symbol of health. Beautiful to look at, juicy, and with a mild, pleasant fragrance. Oranges often appear on the breakfast menus of many older adults who believe they are rich in vitamin C, helping to boost immunity. But the truth is not that simple. I would like to call oranges a fruit that seems healthy, but contains many pitfalls. Do you remember that feeling, grandparents? Drinking a glass of orange juice in the morning, then feeling a slight ache in your knees in the afternoon, and by evening your legs feel stiff and it's hard to turn over in bed. Has anyone ever connected these things to an orange? I have met quite a few patients like this, especially those over 65, living with chronic arthritis or mild degeneration. What's the problem? Oranges contain a very high amount of citric acid. This acid is beneficial for digestion in young people. But in older adults, the joint lining and the tissues around the joints have become much more sensitive. When we ingest too much acid, even from a natural source, the body can still react by stimulating an inflammatory response. That inflammation isn't as obvious as swelling and redness, but it's insidious. We feel a spreading pain, sometimes fatigue in the lower back, sometimes a dull ache in the ankles. One older gentleman told me, "Doctor, I go to bed normally, but when I wake up, my hands feel stiff and contracted as if they're tied up." I gently asked, "Do you drink orange juice in the evening?" And he laughed. "How did you know, doctor?" "I feel dry-mouthed, so I have a glass of orange to help me sleep." That's the key. Oranges at night, with their acid and natural sugar content, cause blood sugar to fluctuate, and the body increases its inflammatory response while we sleep. That's why many older adults feel strange aches and pains at night, but don't know the cause. Besides citric acid, oranges also contain the natural sugars fructose and glucose. Although not as high as in watermelon or bananas, when consumed in juice form, we tend to drink a lot without realizing it. One glass of fresh orange juice can contain up to 20-25 g of natural sugar, enough to cause significant blood sugar fluctuations, especially in those who already have signs of prediabetes or insulin resistance. And as I've mentioned many times during consultations, fluctuating blood sugar not only causes fatigue, but is also a cause of systemic inflammation, especially in the weakest points of the body, which are often the degenerating joints. I do not deny the good benefits of oranges, but for older adults, we need to know how to eat them, when to eat them, and the appropriate limits. If you still want to keep oranges in your daily diet, I recommend eating the segments directly instead of drinking juice, not eating them on an empty stomach, and not after 7 p.m. And if you have already eaten pineapple, bananas, or watermelon during the day, you should avoid oranges, so that your body is not attacked by acid and sugar all at once. Dear grandparents, if we look back from the beginning, from pineapple, bananas, grapes, watermelon to oranges, we will see one thing. Not every food that is good for young people is also suitable for a body that has been operating tirelessly for over 60 years. Old age is a stage where we need to take care of our bodies like tending a precious garden. Every fruit we put in our mouths is not just a source of nutrition, but also a test for the body. Whether it's suitable or not, whether it soothes or inflames, whether it helps the joints feel light or makes them feel heavier. I hope that with today's sharing, You not only know which fruits to limit, but more importantly, understand why you feel tired after meals that you thought were healthy. So from oranges, thought to be a savior for the immune system, but which can be the igniter of nighttime pain, we again see a familiar lesson. Fruit, if we don't understand our bodies, even if it's natural, can become a double-edged sword. And we can't forget another very familiar fruit, especially for those who like to eat crunchy, less sweet options, and that's green apples. Green apples, crisp, tart, but not as gentle as we think. Throughout my over 20 years of working with older adults, I've seen many choose green apples, thinking they are less sweet than red apples, more refreshing, not fattening, and therefore can be eaten every day without worrying about blood sugar spikes or weight gain. Some even say, "Doctor, I have one green apple every day, and I feel lighter in the stomach, and my digestion is also better." It sounds reasonable, but the reality is not that simple. While green apples are less sweet, they are rich in malic acid, the natural acid that gives them their characteristic tartness. The problem lies here. For older adults, the stomach lining is thinner, the intestinal walls weaker, and malic acid is no longer a friend. It can easily cause irritation, leading to bloating, mild reflux, or even mild contractions in the lower intestines. And if you pay attention, eating green apples in the evening can lead to a dull, gnawing feeling in the abdomen, making sleep restless. Furthermore, malic acid also affects the soft tissues around the joints. For those who already have osteoarthritis or mild arthritis, this substance can stimulate underlying inflammatory responses, causing the area around the knees, ankles, or hips to ache dully, feel stiff, especially in the morning. I remember a 68-year-old patient living in California who came to me complaining, "I eat healthily, every morning a green apple with chia seeds. But lately when I wake up, my legs feel weak, my knees are stiff, and when I get out of bed, I feel like I have to hold on to the wall." I asked her in detail about her diet, eating times, and activity levels. And when she stopped eating green apples for about a week, combined with increased green vegetables and warm water in the morning, her condition improved significantly. And this brings me to another important point. Even though green apples have a lower sugar content than red apples, for those with metabolic issues, especially those with insulin resistance, green apples are still enough to cause blood sugar fluctuations. Just a rapid fluctuation in blood sugar, even if it's only from 90 to 130, then dropping, can trigger a mild systemic inflammatory response in the body. And the joints are the first place to feel it. The feeling of weak, unsteady legs, getting tired quickly when walking, it's not just due to age, but also due to a diet that isn't really suitable for the current state of the body. Dear grandparents, I'm not saying that fruits like pineapple, bananas, grapes, watermelon, oranges, or green apples are bad. But I emphasize that, after the age of 60, the way our bodies react to food is no longer the same as when we were young. Therefore, choosing food, especially fruit, requires a more insightful view. It's not just about eating less sugar being safe, and it's not just about eating natural being always good. Every fruit has its positive and negative sides. What's important is that we know who we are, what our body needs, and what we should avoid. I sincerely hope these shares can help you. Understand why you feel tired legs, painful joints, or don't sleep deeply even though you eat healthily. Confidently adjust your daily meals, because just a small change can make a big difference. If you wish, in the next part, I can suggest more specifically about gentle fruits that are suitable for older adults, both good for the joints and helping with sleep. We don't need to abstain from all fruits, we just need to choose correctly. And finally, mangoes. Sweet, fragrant, tempting, but a silent danger for older adults. In my 2 decades of working with elderly patients, I've encountered countless cases of older men and women who thought they were eating healthily, saying, "I only eat fruit, doctor, there's nothing harmful in that." Yet they suffered from joint pain, swollen legs, and numb, tingling fingers that just wouldn't go away. It wasn't until we sat down together to review their diet that we discovered the culprit was a few slices of ripe mango every afternoon. Mangoes, whether they are the intensely sweet cat chew mango or the slightly tangy green Thai mango, all contain extremely high levels of natural sugar. That rich, alluring sweetness is precisely the trap for those over 60. This is because their bodies are no longer as sensitive to insulin as before, their blood sugar regulation system works more slowly, their blood vessels are thinner, and every time their blood sugar fluctuates sharply, their body bears the brunt of the damage. Specifically, it works like this. After eating mango, blood sugar spikes, quickly and high. The body reacts by hurriedly secreting insulin to bring the sugar down. But because the reflexes are no longer as precise, there may be an excess of insulin, causing blood sugar to drop rapidly. This leaves the body feeling tired, the heart racing, and more dangerously, it triggers an inflammatory response in the blood vessels. And that inflammatory response doesn't stay put. It spreads, especially to areas that frequently bear weight, such as the knees, ankles, hips, or toes. As a result, many people after eating mangoes feel a burning sensation in their toes, mild swelling, or numbness, but they don't connect it to their meal. Some even think they have a weather allergy or slept in the wrong position. I remember a 72-year-old male patient living in Texas who loved ripe mangoes. Every summer, he ate them almost daily because they were delicious, cool, and helped with bowel movements. But every evening, he would notice mild swelling in his legs, a tingling numbness in his big toe, and a dull ache. Initially, he thought it was due to old age, but when he stopped eating mangoes for 10 days, all the strange symptoms disappeared. That incident made me emphasize to many older patients afterward. Food is a message sent to your joints, your heart, your blood vessels. If you listen carefully, you'll know what to keep and what to let go of. Mangoes are not villains, but they are no longer best friends with older adults, especially when they are showing signs of high blood pressure, unstable blood sugar, numbness or weakness in the lower joints, or frequent mild swelling in the ankles. Just one slice of mango a day can be the straw that breaks the camel's back if the body is on a sensitive edge. And that's why I hope that when you eat mangoes, or any fruit for that matter, please eat with understanding, not just with your mouth, but by listening to your body. Because good health in old age doesn't come from extreme restriction, but from choosing the right things that suit a body that is changing every day. If you find that you have experienced hot feet, numb fingers, swollen ankles after eating sweet fruits, don't ignore it. That could be the body's first whisper, reminding you, please be a little gentler. Love me by listening. And that is also the key to living healthy, living actively, and living happily once we have passed the age of 60. But don't worry, I'm not sharing these things to make you fearful or think that from now on you have to endure a miserable restrictive diet and give up all fruits. Not at all. I know that for many older adults, a slice of mango, a segment of orange, or a few grapes are small joys in the day, both to quench thirst and a little sweetness in a life that has often become too bland. Fruits are still very necessary, still an important part of a healthy diet. It's just that we need to understand our bodies a little better and choose more carefully. Instead of constantly eating the types that cause underlying inflammation, blood sugar fluctuations, or make joints groan every night, we can absolutely choose friendlier companions for the aging body. For example, berries, including blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, these are true inflammation-fighting warriors. I once joked with a patient, a handful of blueberries every morning is more effective than 2 vitamin pills if you eat them regularly. These tiny fruits are packed with antioxidants, especially anthocyanins, which help reduce joint inflammation, prevent cell damage, and support better blood circulation in areas like the limbs and knees. What's special is that they are very low in sugar, so they hardly affect blood sugar levels, a huge plus for people with diabetes, prediabetes, or those who often feel tired after sugary meals. Cherries are also a great option that many people haven't considered. In my over 20 years of monitoring patients with chronic joint pain and gout, I've noticed that people who regularly eat cherries have a significantly reduced frequency of pain attacks. Cherries help lower uric acid levels in the blood, thereby preventing sudden swelling and pain in the toes and ankles, especially at night when blood circulation slows down. Just a few cherries a day, not many, are enough to make a positive difference. But remember fresh or unsweetened frozen cherries, not the candied or dried kind. Avocado, on the other hand, is a special gift from nature for older adults. Not sweet, but rich in good fats, the kind of fats that help stabilize blood sugar, nourish joint tissues, and reduce chronic low-grade inflammation in blood vessels. I often advise patients to have half an avocado for breakfast, with boiled eggs or oatmeal, and many say they feel lighter in the joints and less tired legs after just a week. In addition, avocados contain potassium, an important mineral that helps regulate blood pressure and reduce water retention in the limbs. Papaya is another gentle, but extremely kind friend. Many people only think of papaya when they want to aid digestion or combat constipation, but few know that papaya contains an enzyme called papain, which helps soothe the intestines, reduce inflammation in the soft tissues around the joints, and even support immunity. Many older women, after switching to eating ripe papaya every morning instead of watermelon or mango, have found their stomachs lighter, they sleep better, and their legs ache less at night. Finally, pears. Pears may seem simple, not as magical as blueberries or avocados, but they are an extremely gentle fruit for older adults. The sugar content in pears is moderately low, the mild sweetness doesn't cause blood sugar spikes, and especially they contain a lot of natural fiber, which helps prolong the feeling of fullness and stabilize energy throughout the day. I often advise, if you eat pears, grandparents, eat them with a few nuts like almonds or a small piece of cheese to increase protein intake and help keep blood sugar even more stable. Ultimately, the core principle is not abstinence, but choice. Not giving up everything, but loving your body the right way. Because every stage of life requires a different way of nurturing. A body in its 30s is different from one in its 60s, and a body in its 70s and 80s needs even more subtlety, gentleness, and knowledgeable care. Fruit, if chosen wisely, can still be a wonderful companion, helping grandparents live happily, healthily, and truly actively every day. A small change in your daily fruit intake can make a big difference. Lighter steps, no more trembling when standing up, and no more dull joint pain in the middle of the night. If you learned something from this conversation today, please leave a comment and share. Who knows, your words might help someone on the other side of the screen live a healthier and more peaceful life. And if you have any questions, or would like me to make more videos about healthy eating habits for people aged 60 and over, just write them down. I will read everything and respond sincerely. We are walking slowly but steadily together, step by step, for health, for the peace of old age.
There's a truth that few pay attention to. As we step into our 60s, the body begins to change not only externally but also internally, within each muscle fiber, each cell. According to research in the Metabolism Journal, 10% to 16% of older adults worldwide are silently suffering from sarcopenia, a condition that seems harmless but is actually the primary cause of declining motor function, increased risk of falls, and a sharp decrease in quality of life in old age. Muscle loss not only weakens the legs but also affects balance, endurance, and even our daily mood. Yet, amidst these statistics, there's a small group of older adults known as superagers, individuals whose strength and muscle function remain largely unchanged compared to when they were younger. They still garden, drive, play golf, hike, and live independent lives full of enthusiasm. Have you ever wondered what has helped them maintain such agile and energetic bodies? Do they have good genes? Perhaps. But what's remarkable is that the majority of them share habits that any one of us can adopt, if we know them and start early enough. As a health expert dedicated to older adults, I want to share with you habits that have been scientifically proven to slow down, and even reverse, the process of muscle loss in old age. And the starting point for that journey, an indispensable foundation for anyone who wants to maintain a healthy body in their 60s, 70s, or even 80s and 90s. Habit 1: Progressive resistance training, the time machine for muscles. Many believe that age inevitably diminishes our ability to move with the agility of our younger years, that weakening is an unavoidable part of growing old. But that's only half the truth. The other half is the latent strength within your own body, just waiting to be reawakened. I call progressive resistance training the time machine for muscles. And no, that's not just a fancy way of speaking. Progressive resistance training is one of the most effective strategies, scientifically proven to reverse age-related muscle loss, and more importantly, to give you the feeling of mastering your body once again. Unlike walking or cycling, which primarily maintain moderate levels of activity, resistance training directly impacts muscles by creating new challenges each week. When you lift a heavier weight, or perform a few more repetitions than the previous week, you're sending a signal to your body. Become even stronger. And the body listens. Studies at geriatric centers in the United States show that after 12 weeks of proper training, older adults can increase their strength by up to 35% and regain about 1.5 kilograms of muscle mass. This not only helps you stand up from a chair more easily but also improves bone density, supports cardiovascular health, boosts metabolism, and even enhances memory. The key is to train correctly, and start intelligently. For beginners, I always recommend starting with compound exercises, multi-joint, such as chair squats, wall pushes, resistance band pulls, and paying particular attention to the eccentric phase, lowering, the stage where muscles are truly built. This is when you lower the weight in a controlled manner, and it's precisely then that muscle fibers experience micro tears, to be subsequently repaired and become stronger. Of course, not everyone needs a gym. You can absolutely start right at home with a sturdy chair, a few light dumbbells, or water bottles, and a workout program specifically designed for older adults, ideally under the guidance of a trainer who understands the physical characteristics of individuals aged 60 and over. Training does more than just make you healthier. It sends a powerful message of inner strength. I am still living actively, and I am still in control of my body. That is the mental power hidden behind every lift. But there's another silent factor contributing to maintaining strength, something many people overlook. It's not in the muscles themselves, but in where the brain connects with every tiny muscle bundle in your body. Habit 2. Maintaining the nerve-muscle connection, the invisible thread holding strength. Muscles, no matter how large and strong, cannot function without command from the brain. And that command isn't something natural or automatic as we age. It requires a complex, precise signaling system, what the medical community calls neuromuscular junctions. When you're young, these junctions are like high-speed overpasses. Signals from the brain travel to the muscles almost instantly. But after the age of 60, these bridges begin to break down piece by piece, not due to a major accident, but because of a silent degenerative process. That's why many older adults feel their hands are still strong, but their reactions are slower. Their legs are still sturdy, but their gait becomes unsteady. The good news is, we can rebuild those connecting bridges, little by little, if we know how. In my years of working with older adults in the United States, I've noticed a common thread among those who maintain physical agility and sharp minds, people we call superagers. They regularly engage in activities that require hand-eye-leg-brain coordination. You'll find them dancing at the community center, practicing Tai Chi in the park, playing ping pong at the senior club, or simply doing yoga or practicing standing on one leg while brushing their teeth. These seemingly simple activities keep the signals from the brain to the muscles flowing smoothly. The brain is challenged, the joints and muscles coordinate seamlessly, and the entire nervous system is refreshed daily. Beyond movement, nutrition also plays a vital role. Certain nutrients specifically support nerve signal transmission and slow down the nerve-muscle degeneration process, which I often recommend, after consulting a doctor, include alpha-lipoic acid, ALA, a powerful antioxidant that protects nerve cells from damage. Acetyl-L-carnitine supports energy production for nerve cells. Huperzine A, an herbal extract studied for its potential in improving memory and nerve transmission function. In addition, controlled deep breathing techniques, such as box breathing, inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, have been proven to help activate the vagus nerve, regulate heart rate, reduce stress, and increase focus. Few people know that just a few minutes of proper breathing each day can also increase the efficiency of the nerve-muscle connection and improve overall stability. Maintaining the nerve-muscle connection is about keeping the body and mind communicating smoothly. And when you maintain that communication, agility, balance, and physical strength won't be easily taken away by time. But no matter how much you exercise or practice deep breathing, if you lack a crucial element, the foundation of micronutrients in your body, then all efforts will only be temporary. Habit 3. Supplementing with essential vitamins and minerals daily. There's something many older adults are completely unaware of. Even if you still eat fully every day, 3 meals with meat, vegetables, and milk, your body can still be severely deficient in the micronutrients essential for muscle and nerve health. Why is this the case? After the age of 60, the gut's ability to absorb nutrients begins to decline significantly. The stomach produces less acid, digestive enzymes slow down, and many prescription medications, from antacids to diabetes drugs, also interfere with the absorption of vitamins and minerals. This means eating doesn't necessarily equate to absorption. And the worrying thing is, many micronutrient deficiencies are silent, causing no obvious symptoms, but quietly weakening muscles, reducing nerve function, and even affecting memory. Here are some micronutrients that I often see deficient in older adults, especially those at risk of muscle loss, sarcopenia. Magnesium. Nearly 70% of older adults in the United States do not meet the daily recommended intake. Meanwhile, magnesium is essential for over 300 enzymes in the body, including those that help muscles contract, regulate heart rhythm, and maintain stable blood pressure. Creatine. Not just a familiar substance to athletes, creatine is also very important for older adults. It helps replenish energy quickly for muscles and has also been shown to support cognitive function and reduce mental fatigue in the elderly. Vitamin B12, methylated form. Methylcobalamin in older adults often have poor absorption of B12 from food due to reduced stomach acid. The methylated form helps the body use it more easily. B12 deficiency can cause muscle weakness, numbness in the hands and feet, and memory impairment, but is often missed in routine tests. Zinc, selenium, chromium. These minerals are often overlooked, but they play a crucial role in protein synthesis, insulin regulation, supporting immune function, and preventing chronic inflammation, one of the silent causes of muscle loss. My professional advice is, don't rush to buy cheap multivitamins with a long list of ingredients. Many of these do not contain the bioactive forms suitable for older adults, and may even contain unnecessary fillers. Start by getting regular blood tests, especially measuring levels of B12, magnesium, vitamin D, and zinc. From there, supplement with the correct dose and form, according to the guidance of your doctor or a nutritionist. Your body, and especially your muscles, will thank you after just a few weeks of proper supplementation. And once the body has enough fuel, the next task is to protect it from wear and tear. Habit 4. Controlling inflammation, the smoldering fire that erodes muscle. I often tell my older patients, inflammation doesn't always show itself externally. You don't need redness or a fever to know your body is inflamed. The truth is, chronic low-grade inflammation, also known as inflammaging, is one of the leading causes of muscle weakening, affecting memory, and increasing the risk of many chronic diseases such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, and even cancer. Worse, this process occurs silently. Many people don't realize they're living in a state of inflammation until their bodies have significantly declined. As we age, the immune system no longer clearly distinguishes between friend and foe. It maintains a state of semi-combat, meaning it's always slightly tense, ready to overreact to the smallest stimuli. And what's the consequence? A smoldering inflammation that spreads throughout the tissues, including muscles. This causes muscle protein to break down faster than it can be rebuilt, a major cause of age-related muscle loss. But you can control it. And no, you don't need to live in a laboratory or follow a strict diet. Superagers, older people who are healthier than their age, have shown us simple yet effective ways to extinguish the fire of inflammation in the body. Get enough sleep and maintain a stable schedule. Studies show that sleep deprivation, just one night of sleeping less than 6 hours, can increase CRP, C-reactive protein, and inflammation marker levels by up to 40%. Therefore, consider sleep as part of your daily anti-inflammatory medicine. Eat a variety of plants, over 30 types per week. You don't need to go completely vegan. Simply diversifying your vegetables, fruits, tubers, legumes, and nuts is enough to provide thousands of natural anti-inflammatory plant compounds. The fiber in them nourishes beneficial gut bacteria, the foundation of a balanced immune system. Fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, and fermented pickles, these are sources of live probiotics that help regulate immune responses and reduce inflammation at the cellular level. Moderate exercise with short bursts of high-intensity interval training. Some people think that exercising too much will make them tired, but the truth is that light daily movement, combined with short bursts of faster activity, helps release myokines, natural anti-inflammatory substances secreted by muscles. Just 20 minutes of brisk walking alternating with 1 to 2 minute sprints each day can make a difference. Consume foods and nutrients with strong anti-inflammatory properties. Omega-3 from fish oil, EPA, DHA, reduces inflammatory cytokines. Curcumin from turmeric, best absorbed in nanoform or combined with piperine, black pepper. Berries, apples, black grapes, contain polyphenol that help inhibit inflammatory responses. Green tea, rich in EGCG, a powerful antioxidant. Additionally, many superagers monitor their high-sensitivity CRP, HSCRP, levels as a way to check the underground fire in their bodies. The goal is to maintain levels below 1 mg per liter, ideally around 0.5. This isn't just about extending lifespan, but about extending quality of life, keeping the body from being silently eroded. And there's a nutrient that acts as both a gene police and a key to unlocking muscle strength and the immune system. And unfortunately, most older adults in the United States are deficient in it. Habit 5. Maintaining optimal vitamin D levels, the key to muscle genes. One of the most concerning findings I see when reviewing blood tests of my older patients is vitamin D levels below 30 ing/ml, something I observe in over 60% of older adults living in the United States, especially those with limited sun exposure, residing in colder climates, or having darker skin. You see, vitamin D isn't just a substance that helps keep bones strong. It's a true hormone, directly impacting hundreds of genes, including those that determine muscle strength and nerve reaction speed. Numerous large studies, including analyses by the National Institute on Aging, NIA, show that older adults with low blood vitamin D levels have up to 25% poorer muscle strength, double the risk of falls, and significantly slower reaction times. They often feel fatigued, have difficulty getting up from chairs, and lack confidence when walking, especially on uneven surfaces. One of my patients, Evelyn, 74, used to experience chronic back pain, difficulty sleeping, and frequent stumbles in her backyard. After testing, her vitamin D level was only 17 ing/milliliter. Following 3 months of sun exposure, dietary adjustments, and proper supplementation, she not only felt stronger but also returned to her hobby of gardening every morning. Her body wasn't just stronger, her mood also brightened considerably. So, how do we achieve and maintain ideal vitamin D levels, a minimum of 40 to 60 ing/ml in the blood? Here's what I recommend to older adults in the United States. Get midday sun exposure between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. for about 15 to 20 minutes, if possible. During winter or in areas with limited sunlight, you'll need to supplement more. Increase intake of naturally vitamin D-rich foods such as salmon, mackerel, sardines, 1 to 2 times per week. Egg yolks, 2 to 3 per week. Vitamin D fortified milk and orange juice. Supplement with the correct dosage. Most older adults need 2,000 to 4,000 IU per day, but it's best to get a blood test before starting. Vitamin D3, cholecalciferol, is better absorbed than D2. Always combined with vitamin K2, natural -7 Malawian quachas form K2 helps direct calcium to the bones and prevents it from accumulating in the arteries, reducing the risk of arterial calcification, a particularly important issue for those aged 60 and over. For those with absorption issues, such as bowel disease, diabetes, or obesity, you may need liquid supplements, sublingual sprays, or taking it with healthy fats for better absorption. Finally, retest your levels after 2 to 3 months of supplementation to ensure you're on the right track. Vitamin D is a guide. Without it, your efforts in training, diet, and other supplements won't be as effective. It's a key not just for muscles, but also for the mind, immune system, and longevity. And now that we have the key to activating muscle genes, it's time for you to understand something equally important: the same amount of protein. But if you eat it at the right time, the muscle building effect can double. That's the valuable lesson of the biological clock, and that's where we'll explore next. Habit 6. Protein timing, the lesson of the biological clock. When you were younger, you could eat a hamburger for dinner and still feel strong the next morning. But after the age of 60, your body doesn't respond as quickly as it used to, especially when it comes to protein and the muscle building process. This phenomenon is called anabolic resistance. It occurs when the older body no longer responds as powerfully to protein as it did in youth, making it harder to maintain and build muscle, even if the total protein intake is sufficient. I've met many patients who say they eat enough, still have meat, fish, and eggs every day, but their muscles still gradually waste away. When we looked closely at their meal distribution, we discovered that most of them consumed the majority of their protein at dinner, with very little at breakfast and lunch. This is the crucial point. Research from the University of Texas and the Tufts University Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging shows that spreading protein evenly across 3 meals, about 25-30 g per meal, increases muscle protein synthesis by more than 25% compared to eating the same amount concentrated in a single meal. Imagine you're tending a garden. If you water it regularly in the morning, at noon, and in the evening, the plants will thrive much better than if you only water it heavily once in the evening. Here's a protein eating pattern I often recommend to older patients in my clinic. Breakfast: 2 boiled eggs, 1 cup of Greek yogurt, a few slices of avocado, and oatmeal. Lunch: grilled chicken breast, lentils, green salad with olive oil. Dinner: pan-seared salmon, brown rice, steamed broccoli, and carrots. If you're vegetarian, don't worry, just combine plant-based protein sources like beans, tempeh, chia seeds, quinoa, and fortified soy milk. In addition, I also emphasize to older adults that consuming protein immediately after light exercise like walking, yoga, or light resistance training will help the body absorb it more effectively. Like a sponge after being squeezed, it will absorb water more powerfully. And if you find yourself losing your appetite or feeling full quickly, try eating smaller meals more frequently, or adding easily digestible liquid protein like whey isolate or collagen peptides, especially unsweetened forms that dissolve easily in water or smoothies. By simply making a slight change in the timing of your meals, you can shift your body from a passive state to actively rebuilding strength and agility. And interestingly, such small changes don't have to be stressful. On the contrary, a little stress applied correctly can sometimes be what helps your body become stronger every day. Habit 7. Beneficial stress. Stress that makes you stronger. When we mention stress, most older adults think of negative things: increased blood pressure, poor sleep, headaches, exhaustion. And it's true that chronic, prolonged stress can silently undermine health. But few know that a little stress applied correctly, at the right time, and with moderate intensity, is actually a natural rejuvenation booster for the body. This concept has a scientific name: hormetic stress, meaning beneficial stimulating stress. It's like when you train your muscles, there needs to be a bit of strain, a little pressure, on the muscle, for the body to respond by regenerating, renewing, and becoming stronger. And interestingly, many long-lived, healthy older adults, the superagers, have inadvertently, or deliberately, incorporated these forms of beneficial stress into their daily lives. Some effective and easy to implement forms of hormetic stress for older adults. Hot-cold therapy. Some of my patients have started the habit of using a sauna or steam room 2 to 3 times a week, followed by a cool shower, about 1 to 2 minutes. This sudden temperature change causes the body to release cell-protective proteins, heat shock proteins, which help reduce inflammation, increase circulation, and improve nerve reflexes. Intermittent fasting, not a grueling diet, but rather limiting the eating window to a reasonable period, for example, 8 hours a day, such as from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This helps activate autophagy, the body's cellular cleaning process, like an internal garbage disposal team that collects waste and damaged parts and recycles them into new energy. Isometric training, no need for a gym or heavy weights. Simply stand against a wall in a seated position for 30 to 60 seconds, or do a light plank on your knees, or push against a wall with strong force for a few seconds. These exercises activate deep muscle fibers and help increase muscle density, which is crucial for preventing falls. However, hormetic stress should not be done daily. The body needs time to recover. Like a good piece of music, it needs rhythm, it needs moments of silence for the sound to be complete. I often advise older adults to start slowly, listen to their bodies, and take rest days between workouts or temperature change methods. These beneficial stressors are like light rehearsals for the body, helping the immune, nervous, and muscular systems not to fall asleep, but to maintain their inherent reflexes and flexibility. And all 7 habits that we've just explored together, from eating and exercise to micronutrient supplementation, inflammation control, and utilizing beneficial stress, are not far-fetched things. They are small choices made every day, accumulating into a sustainable lifestyle, an agile body, and a peaceful mind, even as you step into your 70s, 80s, or beyond. I've seen many elderly men and women change, not through expensive methods, but through slow, conscious, and consistent steps. They not only live longer but also live more actively, with confidence, sharp memory, and the ability to do what they love without being limited by their bodies. If you're reading this far, I believe you're also on that path. Keep going, one step each day, for yourself, and for those who love you. And if this video has been helpful to you, or to your spouse, siblings, or a peer who wants to improve their health, don't forget to press the like button to spread this goodness to more people. You can also press subscribe, register for the channel, so that each week we can continue to send you practical advice, inspiring stories, and new knowledge about how to live happily and healthily after 60. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, where we will age beautifully, peacefully, and strongly together.